Hey guys, it's Miss Arlequin, and in this video we are going to look at a sample scrambled paragraph, which comes from the 2007-2008 Specialized High School Sample Test. Alright, so as usual, we are going to read through the paragraph just to get a gist of what it's about. Then we're going to go a little bit slower, do a closer read where we're really paying attention to the pronouns, to the vague phrases and references, and seeing if we can link sentences together. The processionary caterpillar illustrates how an insect species relies on instinct in its daily routines. Dozens of caterpillars nest in a tree during the day, then leave together at night in search of food. After feeding, the caterpillars also use the silken road to help them return to their nest. As they leave the nest, one caterpillar becomes the leader, who spins and lays out a silk line as it moves along. The processionary's instinct is so strong that if a person were to pick up one end of the silk line and bring it around to join the other end, creating a closed circle, the caterpillars might travel around the loop for days without changing course. The other caterpillars line up end to end and walk on the leader's silk line, each one reinforcing the rope by laying down its own silk as it passes over. Alright, so as I read, I did highlight a few words because immediately as I was reading, I could tell that those were kind of key phrases. They were words that were referring to an idea or a phrase that must have been brought up in a previous sentence. So I know that those sentences have to come after other sentences that refer to my highlighted phrases or words. Alright, so what is this paragraph about? It's about the caterpillar, and I could tell that it was describing, as it says in the topic sentence, a daily routine. So if you're going to describe a daily routine, that means that this is a sequence question, which actually makes this paragraph a little easier to put in order because you have to put it into the order of the sequence. Alright, so here it's just telling me that they have an instinct that they use for the daily routine. Dozens of caterpillars nest in a tree during the day, then leave together at night in search of food. Alright, so this right here seems to be the topic sentence because it's kind of elaborating on, well, not the topic sentence, I'm sorry, the sentence that comes before the topic sentence, because it's elaborating on the idea from the topic sentence. It's telling me specifically what daily routine this paragraph is going to be about. So I'm going to mark Q as the first sentence. Alright, so if they leave at night in search of food, what do they do next? That's what I'm looking for. After feeding. Alright, so if this is coming after feeding, then I need a sentence that describes them feeding. And that's not sentence Q, so R cannot be the next one. As they leave the nest. Alright, so here we have a transition that's telling me the next phase of something. So I need a sentence that comes before this that says they're leaving the nest, which is my first sentence Q. So for now, I'm going to say that S is the second sentence. Alright, so in sentence 1, they are leaving the nest. In sentence 2, they're leaving the nest, but the leader is also doing something as they leave the nest. He's spinning and laying out a silk line. So what happens after the leader lays out that silk line? The processionary's instinct is so strong that if a person were to pick up one end of the silk line and bring it around to join the other. Alright, this does seem like it comes after S. However, it's not really telling me what happens with the rest of the caterpillars after the leader spins the line. So is it just the leader spins the line and then someone else can pick it up? I don't really feel like this comes after S, even though this is kind of tricky. They want you to think that T comes after S, but I'm not going to fall for it. I'm going to look at U. The other caterpillars line up end to end and walk on the leader's silk line. All right, see, this makes a lot more sense because as I noted when I was reading sentence T, what are the other caterpillars doing? I need to know what they're doing before I could talk about a person coming over and picking up the line. So I think this could be the third sentence, but I want to compare it to R. Alright, so I didn't put R as the next sentence because this comes after feeding. So where do I see them feeding? I don't really, but I know that R can't come before U because, again, here in sentence S I have the leader. I need to know what the other caterpillars are doing first, so this has to be the third sentence. Alright, so if that's my third sentence, now I need to find my fourth sentence. I'm really left with only two choices. It's either going to be R or it's going to be T. Now, this is really getting me because I wanted a sentence where they talked about feeding, and they're not really doing that in this paragraph, so I'm thinking that the feeding must be implied here after they walk over the leader's line. So they walk over the line, they probably feed, and then this happens next. So the feeding is left out of this paragraph, they're feeding, and then they return to the nest. All right, that makes sense, that's their routine. And then the sentence is wrapping up, or the paragraph is wrapping up with sentence T. So this makes sense because sentence T is not really describing the routine, but sentences S, U, and R are giving me a sequence of events. It's telling me that they leave the nest, that the leader spins a line, that the rest of the caterpillars then follow that line, and then they return on that same line back to the nest. So once I've gotten the routine down, sentence R is the end of that routine. So this is a wrap-up sentence that's kind of giving me some different information about the routine and the silk line that the caterpillars have formed. All right, so this is a basic sequence paragraph, although as you saw as I thought through it, there were some tricky parts. Sentence T could have messed you up, and the fact that in sentence R you had the after feeding transition word, which didn't really have a specific detail that it was tied to, it was an implied detail. Those are the tricks that could make a paragraph like this a little difficult.